Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about the Empire of Songhai. Your essential question is what caused the rise and the fall of the Songhai Empire? So let's go ahead and get started. So the Songhai Empire, the first section is called the birth of an empire. So this is the rise. So go ahead and write the question, how did the Songhai Empire rise, into your Cornell notes. So the Songhai conquered Gao from Mali to begin its empire. So remember that when Mali was invaded and all the little cities, they all decided to declare their independence. The city of Gao on the banks of the Niger River, they decided to get their independence from Mali and rename themselves Songhai. They participated in the same trade. It's along the Niger River. They had the gold and the salt mines, same as Ghana and Mali. It made them very strong, very rich, very powerful. Songhai was originally conquered by Mansa Musa. So this goes back to the connection to Mali. But it didn't last long because Songhai rose up again against Mali and found its independence, becoming its own empire. Songhai leaders became Muslim as well, so they converted and shared that religion with the Berbers. So remember that the Berbers were an African tribe. They traveled along the Silk Road through Islam, and that's where they learned about the religion. So the Berbers, Songhai, Mali, they all became Muslims. And the Berbers also became trade partners with Songhai. So for this next section, you're actually going to read page 143 in the book on your own. The question you want to make sure you answer in your notes is, what did Sunni Ali, and this is from your key terms from yesterday, so what did Sunni Ali achieve as the ruler of Songhai? So you want to make sure when you're taking notes on your Cornell notes that you're answering that specific question. The next question is Askia the Great. So he is also one of our key terms, Askia the Great, and specifically about trade and government. You're going to read this section on page 145, create your own question, and write your own notes. Now let's talk about religion and education. So Askia the Great, a great ruler of Songhai, what were his accomplishments in specifically religion and education? So when Sunni Ali died in 1492, the empire was taken over by his son Sunni Baru. Unfortunately, Sunni Baru, as we've seen many times in history, the son does not always live up to the father, and he was not a very good ruler. One of the problems is he decided to disaggregate himself from the Muslim religion, and since he was not a ruler who was of the same religion as his people rebelled against him. They really wanted a ruler who was also a Muslim. So Muhammad Tur, one of the citizens, created a group of people that rebelled against Sunni Baru, against the king, and took over Songhai. Tur took the name Askia, so he changed his name to Askia. It's a title of a very high, powerful military leader, and he took over the empire. Askia was a devout Muslim and made his pilgrimage to Mecca after he defeated Baru. He rebuilt Timbuktu. So remember that the invaders, they burned down Timbuktu, right? So when they burned down Timbuktu, Mali was never able to reestablish it. But after he started, Muhammad Tur, he rebuilt Timbuktu with universities. The University of Sankor is still a very famous university today. He rebuilt libraries and the mosques. So he completely rebuilt this city, focused on education and religion. So we're going to continue. Same question. So we're still focusing on the religion and the education. So people traveled from all over West Africa to study in Timbuktu, which was good for the economy because more people equals more income taxes, which equals more money and more power for the crown. Jem became a learning center for medicine. This is where malaria, it's a disease that's spread by mosquitoes. It was first discovered. And this is also just a fun little fact, the first location of the very first surgery on the human eye. So just some interesting facts to go along with that. So Zhen was definitely a learning center for medicine. And we get to the fall of the empire. So Askia the Great lost power to his son in 1528. Similar to all of the other stories that we have heard, the son was not a very strong leader, and the Moroccans ended up invading Songhai. Oh, sorry. The question for this section is, how did the Songhai Empire fall? So this actually answers part of your essential question. So Morocco from the north invaded Songhai. They brought a new weapon called the arquebus. It's a very early form of the gun. We talked about this before as well when we talked about the development of and the trade of gunpowder. So they're going to create in Africa this very crude version of the gun as we know it. It was not very accurate. I mean, it would still hurt people, still kill people. But as you can imagine, when you first develop something like this, there's going to be a lot of downfalls and a lot of glitches to overcome. So the arquebus was very dangerous, not only for the people that you were fighting against, but also for the gun handler, because it took a while to make sure that they worked correctly, and there were a lot of accidents in the meantime. So the thing about the Moroccans bringing the arquebus is they were able to fight from a far distance. You can see here, you're able to be much farther away from your opponent, which gives you the advantage. Where Songhai, they had to be very up close to be able to do any damage and to fight people off. So the Moroccans attacked Songhai, obviously, for its salt and its gold mines. And the soldiers were very well trained, and they have this new deadly weapon. So even though it wasn't as accurate, it still did enough harm. And not only that, just put fear into the Songhai army. So the last part is the destruction of Songhai. You're going to read page 146 in your textbook, as well as take notes from the video for this fall of Songhai. For this video link, you are going to begin at minute 8:10. So you're not going to watch the entire video. You're going to click on the link and then scroll to fast forward to minute 8 and watch just the very last section of this. You are welcome to watch the entire thing, but you're only going to be taking notes on the very last section, which is how Songhai was destroyed. So you're going to do that to wrap up your notes. Remember, you are going to complete your notes in each of the blank sections, identify key words, highlight main ideas, create the 2 section questions for the sections that were missing them, and then answer the essential question in your summary. So all the usual things. Remember, this part is half your points. You get 10 points for just filling in the blanks, and then 10 points for actually finishing and wrapping up your notes. And that is the end of Songhai. So make sure you take the rest of the period to finish up your notes, and then write your summary.